Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. The Messages of Inspirational Stories is proudly brought to you today by the good guys at the 6minutewebinar.com. That's SIXminutewebinar.com. And Donna and I, we want to give a shout out to all the people out there who tune into the show, who go to our YouTube channel. Just go to Messages of Inspirational Stories TV show. That's the title of our YouTube channel. And you can see all of our previous shows there, especially the show we had Tuesday with Dr. George Grant. Oh my goodness, Donna. We had him on back in February, and he was an absolute hoot, wasn't he?
He was. And the thing I love about Dr. George Grant is George is, he's so down to earth. Mm-hmm. Like just talking to him, it's hard to see that. I mean, because he's just so incredibly laid back and doesn't use big high-end words that you forget sometimes he holds 3 doctorate degrees.
Right. He's a professor. He has worked with the Canadian health system there at the Canadian government level. He has also worked here in the United States with the CDC. That's the Center for Disease Control. So with his degrees and his background, he would not be invited to work with that high level of 2 different governments if he was just some, quack doctor or something. He's real big on
nutrition.
Health, nutrition and natural health. And I just got to pull up his website here. Let's see, where's it at? Dr. Grant's website. There it is. It's academyofwellness.com. And he is a big proponent of nutrition and supplements to create the lifestyle that we all want.
Right.
We want to live pain-free. We want to live disease-free. And he was saying the other day, Donna, and you said this before we even went live, all of us have what in our body?
Cancer cells.
Mm-hmm. We sure do.
We're just born with them.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that. And I certainly didn't either. I was talking to Dr. Grant. But that thing is just laying there dormant. Those cells, they're dormant until you feed them.
Right. And one of the worst things that we can do is sugar. I mean, cancer feeds off sugar. One of the things, I should say. One of the things is it feeds off sugar. And here's the thing. Our bodies do not know and cannot differentiate the difference between real sugar and artificial sugar. Its reaction to either one is the same.
Mm-hmm. You're exactly right, because the body is just like in a way, it's kind of like a little child. It just doesn't reason with what we put in the body. And we've got to understand our body is a processing center. It is not a recycling center.
Right.
And one of the things that Dr. Grant hit on was, fast foods. Sure, you can stop there once in a while and have one, but not as a steady diet because of all of the bad things in the food that keeps your body in an acid type of state. If your body is acidy, you just hung out the welcome sign to any type of sickness and disease.
Well, and what bothers me about fast foods, Jim, and I know when we had George on our TV show back in February, we had talked about this. Fast foods, I don't know the equation, but I know that they put in enormous amounts of sugar, enormous amounts of salt, and enormous amounts of fat into the food. And what happens is our bodies become addicted to it almost instantly.
Oh, yeah. I was just telling Donna for the show, I got these new earplugs and they fit, and now the one just popped out.
Working real good, aren't they, buddy?
Yeah. I wonder why they came with a tube of glue. But you
But yeah,
know,
it's a real issue,
mhm,
and of course, because of those, just those ingredients alone, it
mhm.
is no wonder that when we as people eat out a lot, that we gain so much weight.
Yes, yes, yes. We stacked the deck against ourselves,
Correct.
and we got into weight a little bit. And I told Dr. Grant some years ago, I read where the question was asked, why are Orientals always so nice and slim and trim in general?
Hmm.
And one of the most common things that they do, the very first thing they do in the morning when they get up, they will drink at least one glass of water.
Right.
And I do that. And the way I do that, I got to have my coffee.
Right.
Coffee
There
used to
you
be
go.
yeah, I'm a coffee holic. I'll admit it. But when I put my coffee on, and while it's, dripping into the coffee container, uh, I go over, I get a glass, I put some ice in it, fill it with water, and I'm a big fan of fulvic and humic acid because that changes your body to a 9 pH.
Right.
And Dr. Grant, if I remember correctly, he said if your body is 7 to a 7.5 pH alkaline, cancer cannot survive in that environment. And the same is true with other diseases. And we got into that quite a bit because drinking the one glass of water, um, some people don't realize, but when you go to bed at night and you're not consuming anything, what you're actually doing is fasting as you sleep.
Right. Right.
And when you get up in the morning and have breakfast, you break the fast. So that's
Right.
why they call that meal break fast or breakfast. And so therefore, when you get up in the morning, get some water there, and if you like a little lemon juice in there, that's good.
Right.
Not the kind you get in the squirt bottle. I mean, just real lemon, and squeeze it in there and drink it because that's really good for your body.
Yes, it is. Well, and here's the thing. And I know that we had talked about this with Dr. Grant in February. We need to drink more water.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
It is the average, it's statistically proven that the average male needs to drink 15 cups of water a day and a female 12. Now, I
Hmm.
surpass that myself. Of
Hmm.
course, living here in Arizona, it can get a little bit toasty outside. Um, but but I drink probably 68 ounces of water a day.
Hmm.
I
Water is
cannot
real, yeah, water is real good for you because it is think of it as being the foundation
lie. Hmm.
for the anti-aging. That alone should inspire you to drink
Right.
more water.
But it
And
also, the other thing it does, and people sometimes forget this, is it helps the our body flush the toxins out of our system,
mm, yes.
right? It helps all of our organs that are working so hard for us, fighting cancer, fighting
Hmm.
other diseases, and it aids in that process to get
Hmm.
rid of it.
It really does because if you're going to get something moved out of your body, you need water. Plus, water. We mentioned this on one of the shows. I don't remember which one, but I used the example or gave the example when we were in Germany in January and February 1969. We were over Forger One, and we were sleeping in tents with snow on the ground. So you can imagine how miserably cold and uncomfortable that was.
Right?
One of the things that all of us did until we were told don't do it, we cut back on our water consumption
Right.
simply
You actually
because we didn't
just
want to go outside in the cold and relieve ourselves. But what happens there, whether it's summer or winter, whether it's 100 degrees outside or minus five degrees outside, the fact of it is your body does not change. The
right.
very first thing that happens with the lack of water and heat exhaustion is what it does. First step, it creates confusion in the mind.
Mhm.
The same is true when you don't have enough water in a cold environment. And when you start getting confused, number one, it sneaks up on you. Number two, you don't realize it. And number three, you're in serious trouble because if your mind cannot function right, that's what keeps everything in line in your body with your heartbeat.
Right.
Because your mind, your subconscious mind, is what keeps the heart beating at night. Think about that.
Well, and the difference is between summer and winter, and this is where I think we get confused, is in the summer because it is hot. Our
Hmm.
body recognizes that we need that water because we're
Hmm.
sweating more. And so
Right.
in the winter, when it's cold and the temperatures aren't, obviously, 90, 100, in our case, 115, 118, um, we recognize when it's hot that, oh my gosh, I'm thirsty. But in
Hmm.
the wintertime, we're not perspiring as much, and we're not out,
Hmm.
when we run errands, we're just not feeling that need for thirst. And
Hmm.
the other thing is, as we talk about the elderly in this show, Jim,
Hmm.
and I can't remember the proper name, so forgive me, but
Hmm.
there is a mechanism that as we get older, in our elderly population, that they don't, we lose that ability to recognize that we're thirsty. And
Hmm.
a lot of the elderly are dehydrated because that mechanism, as we grow older, goes away.
Hmm. It fades.
Correct.
I
Correct.
know what you mean. I'm trying to think of the name too, and I'm drawing a blank.
Right.
But
There's a
mhm,
specific name for it. Shame on me. I
right,
can't remember.
yeah. And another thing that we get confused all the way through life is that we'll feel hungry.
And we're
And
thirsty.
many times that's a mixed signal. We think we're hungry, but really we're thirsty. And if you want to lose weight, the best thing to do is drink one glass of water right before you eat.
Right.
And, Dr. Grant, his website, of course, is wellness. Let me put it back up there again. The Academy of Wellness. Let me find it here. Let me scroll down here somewhere here. Here we go. Oh, that's his email. That's just one box off. The Academy of Wellness, if you go there, he's got a lot of information that you can research for yourself. You can ask him questions, send him an email. He talks to you in layman terms. He
Yes.
doesn't use these big long words, medical words that you don't even know what he's talking about. Because a
Right.
lot of doctors do that. A lot of doctors, they're kind of like lawyers. They want to impress people with all the big fancy words they know. But Dr. Grant is not like that,
No.
and he's just really down to earth. And we're going to be talking today about the how cancer affects the elderly, and also in every cancer victim, it affects the family and the friends,
Oh,
because their loved one is going through pain and suffering from having
yes.
cancer. And Tamara Hunter, a good friend of ours, in fact, she's the one that invited us or introduced us to E360 TV. Uh, she says when she gets on stage, I love her.
Yes.
And she says, she normally starts out with, I would like everyone to stand that's either had cancer or knows someone that has cancer,
Right.
or you have survived cancer, please stand. And everybody in the entire auditorium will stand.
Absolutely.
And she says, those three words that she heard that really stabbed her in the heart, and it stabs every cancer victim and their families, their friends, right in the heart, is
Right.
you have cancer.
Right.
That's got to be devastating. I mean, it's just, it's not something you jump up and down and say, oh boy, I got cancer. Wait till I tell everybody.
Right.
And I'd like to share this real quickly. Tuesday it was, Dr. Grant was on our TV show, and he was saying that back in 1998, I don't remember how old the guy was, but he was, I think, in his 50s. he got in touch with Dr. Grant. He had stage 3 cancer, and they had done just about everything they could do for him. It was kind of like, go home.
Right.
We hope you get better, but, we can't do anything more for you. That's from the medical environment. And Dr. Grant interviewed him, found out he was eating 6 pieces of bacon every morning that's fried in a frying pan. And after that, he would fry his eggs in the bacon grease. And Dr. Grant says, oh my goodness, right there is a big part of your problem. Long story short, back in 1998, the guy was supposed to hit weeks, maybe months. I don't know how long he had to live, but he was terminal, no question about that. And Dr. Grant got him on a special diet and, got him off the bacon grease and all that. And the guy is alive today and he's cancer free. Mm-hmm. Wow. That got my attention. So please go to, let me put his website up here again. This time I'm going to do it right the first time. Just email Dr. Grant there or contact him. You can contact him at his website there, theacademyofwellness.com. And just tell him that, we sent you there, and he will go out of his way because he loves to give and he loves to be able to share with others his knowledge. In fact, I'm going to be on a call with him tonight from 6:30 to 7:30 Central Time. And I'm going to be, he wanted me to give my knowledge. I said, well, that'll take about 5 seconds. With these other doctors on there, because I studied the world of herbs and natural cures for 10 years. And I know some things that a lot of people, not even medical doctors, know. Right. When it comes to like our fruits and our vegetables. In our vegetables, for example, ladies and gentlemen, we're slowly getting to the elderly. We're growing up with them, you might say. But there is a specific poison that's in every plant. And that poison is designed to attack abnormal cells like cancer and arthritis. It is called oxalic, OXALIC acid. And what it does during the third step of the digestive process, that's called the Krebs cycle, K-R-E-B, Krebs cycle. It actually flushes out all the poisons and toxins and cleanses your blood, your liver, all those good things. And its power is it actually attacks abnormal cells. Right. Now, what you can do to get some oxalic acid in you is just go to the grocery store, get some parsley. Parsley is one of the plants that has the highest content of oxalic acid. And just take a little bit of the leaves and put it underneath your tongue, because you want to get that into your bloodstream and not into your stomach. And just drink some water. And that is a great, it's not a great pick-me-up, I was going to keep in my mind, but it's a great way of turning your body more to a pH level. It's very easy, right. Even though prices have went up recently in the United States for some strange reason, and I'm not going to get into that, but parsley is still a great benefit, and it's something people can afford. And I remember in restaurants, they used to give you parsley on your plate, kind of like decoration, and I used to always think maybe a slice of orange you ever seen that with parsley and all that? You remember that, Donna? Right. They used to give that out.
Put pretty on it.
Oh, yeah, that's what I thought it was for decoration.
Well, and
it's also good for your breath, too.
Right. But the other thing is taking a good fiber.
Yeah.
So taking a proper fiber that will literally, what it does is over 70% of all autoimmune diseases live in our gut.
That's right.
And so when you have a good fiber, what it will do is it pulls all the excess fat. It pulls all the excess sugar. It'll pull all the excess oh Lord, I forgot the word.
Think of it as an eternal sponge that mops up all the stuff that you don't need.
It pulls all the excess, right? All the bad fatty, fats and stuff, cholesterol. There we go, cholesterol. and it pulls them out of our system and literally helps flush it out of our body. But you need a proper fiber. So,
Yeah.
I have some information on that. I've, had my own health and wellness business for over 17 years. So if anybody out there would like some information on it, please email me and I'll be happy to help you out on that information.
Oh, yeah. And let me put Donna's information up there. Let's see here. That is her email right there, highenergyrightnow@gmail.com, because she is known as the high energy lady about how you release your energy, enjoy life. And if you'd like to know more about that, just go to Donna's website, Donna Guinois. You can see the spelling there, DonnaGuinouard. It only took me 3 months, 2 weeks, and 1 day to learn how to pronounce Guinois. Because I used to pronounce it incorrectly the very first time consistently.
Yes, you did.
I mean, I knew I was supposed to say quinoa, but with my bird brain and my tongue, sometimes there's a major disconnect there. Like my brain's over on the other side of Borneo and my tongue somewhere between here and North Carolina.
Well, don't feel bad, Jim, because, in my entire life, in 56 years that I've been alive, there has only ever been one person, obviously other than family, but one person whom I've ever met who pronounced my name right from the get-go. And that was my neurosurgeon who did my 3 brain surgeries.
Oh, yeah. And Donna, every time I think about your story, now, ladies and gentlemen, imagine this. One day, Donna goes to the doctor as a result of her test. And I just saw up here in the right corner, we got a comment here. Big brother Jim, the true 4%ers. Hey, Ken, how you doing, man? Glad you tuned in. Ken Birdseye Brown. Good to see you, my man. And, she goes to the doctor and she finds out she's got MS, multiple sclerosis. And then what else happened that same wonderful day of your life, Donna?
That was the day I was getting scheduled for the first of 3 brain surgeries. It was a big day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying people should drink or anything like that, but that'd be a time that you may want to consider just going out and just getting drunk. I mean, I'm not encouraging that, but I mean, you go like, my goodness. I mean, bad news up one side and down the other. Holy smokes. And you had 3 brain surgeries. If I remember correctly, the first one was to determine what the damage was in there or what they needed to repair.
Correct.
And the second one was to actually do the repairs.
Yes.
And then the third one was a surgery in there, the invasion into the skull, into behind the right eye, to make sure that everything had been repaired.
Right. I call it the peek and seek surgery.
Oh, okay. That's a good name for it. And after that happened, what was the result of those 3 brain surgeries? How did that affect you, Donna?
Whew, that was a tough one. I couldn't talk a full sentence, save my soul, for almost 2 years. I could not remember everyday words. I could be looking at a phone and say, that thing right there. What's that called? And it was, 2 and 3 times every sentence. And it was extremely frustrating for me because obviously I have no problem talking, if you know me. But it was just a result that my brain and body were extremely tired. It was a lot of invasion into my body and my brain. And it just took almost 2 years for it to heal.
Wow. That's amazing. On today's show, our title is about the elderly and cancer. And we've talked a lot about cancer, a little bit about cancer. And the elderly people, Donna, I'm going to let you start off with that, but remember that cancer, that's a disease like any other disease. I mean, it affects not only the victim, but the family, the friends. Everybody's got to deal with that loves you and cares for you.
It does. Well, here's some statistics in doing some research for our show that is kind of alarming, if you will.
Hmm.
People who are 65 years and older, there is an 11-fold increase incidence of developing cancer as compared to younger people. So 65 and under. In the last 30 years, cancer has increased 26% in 65-year-old population
Hmm.
compared to a 10% increase into the 65 and under.
Hmm.
Now that's a big increase.
Yes, it is, because we know as we get older, our metabolism slows down. So that's why our good nutritional food intake should remain, it should go up
As well
because,
as exercise.
yes, yes.
As well as exercise.
Hmm.
And well, one of the problems too is as we get older, we have what they call coexisting conditions. And so
Hmm.
that is other illnesses you have while you have cancer. And that can play a big part in how the elderly not only feel, but in treatment that is received during their, you know, uh, during their cancer treatment. And so
Hmm.
it can create an issue. So, like,
Yes.
and I understand that, I have three autoimmune diseases, and it is what it is. Uh, I don't
Hmm.
I don't dwell on it, and I eat healthy, and I exercise, and you know, but I also rest. I
Hmm.
also rest, and that's a big one too. When your body needs some rest, get some rest, Jim.
Hmm. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you left out one thing that you do a lot of, which is good medicine for the body. And that is she's giving you a sign right now, ladies and gentlemen. If you look at her, I mean, if I say something funny, she's going to crack up and snort, but, she's already cracking up. But see, laughter is one of the best things you can do for your body.
Yes,
I cannot explain it as well as what Dr. Grant did about all the benefits of it, but it makes you feel good. It just
it
rejects a lot
releases
of the
endorphins.
negative. Hmm?
It releases our endorphins,
Okay,
our happy place.
our happy place, but it just repels a lot of bad things in your
It
in your
does.
inside your body that you really don't need. And it's just an amazing what laughter can do for your health, also your happiness, your attitude, because your lifestyle not only depends upon how healthy you are, but also how happy are you.
Well, and there is statistic science study that has shown that when you live in a really negative, um, dark space, that
Hmm.
it brings in issues into your body and it holds
Mm.
it there, sort of like it holds them hostage because there's um, and I guess I hate to say it, but we've all met people who are super negative.
Oh
Hey,
yeah.
how you doing, Paul? Well, it's a beautiful day. It's sunny out. Yep, too sunny.
Hmm.
Well, it's a beautiful day out. It's not too sunny today. Well, I wish it was more sunny. So it
Hmm.
doesn't matter what you say. We've all had those people in our lives where it's always wrong.
Oh
And
yeah.
right. And so, you're living in a negative space, which
Hmm.
does not help your body heal at all.
Mm-mm. Because you are attracting negative attitudes and negative thinking like that. It attracts everything in life that you don't want.
Exactly.
It really does. And if you're positive and if you're upbeat and you got a great attitude towards life and you laugh a lot, you've automatically, you're automatically then hit the apex of that hill you're climbing.
Right.
And when you mix in good nutrition and drink good fresh water and all that, then you've got the enemy on the run. And
Right.
so for you young folks out there who want to, make sure your grandparents are healthy and all that, and your parents as they age, you want to make sure that they keep their water content consumption, I should say, up. That is the first level of defense against any kind of disease.
It is. It
Mhm.
is. You know, it's very it's a very sad thing. One of the other things
Mhm.
I did in my research was that the most common cancer in the elderly are breast, prostate, lung, and bowel cancers.
Mm.
Breast
Yeah.
and prostate cancers tend to grow slower in elderly patients.
Mhm.
However, colon, bladder, and certain leukemias, for example, are usually more aggressive and harder to treat. And, you know, Jim,
Mhm.
I can attest to that. My maternal grandfather got sick in his 80s and was diagnosed with leukemia,
Mhm.
and he was in the hospital and he never left, and he was
Wow.
gone. He was gone within about 2.5, 3 months.
Mm. He
And
really
it
is because
softened
I've known, Mhm. Excuse me, I've known some older people in my life. And when I was younger, I remember there was one gentleman we went over to see, excuse me, and he looked pale, he looked gray, and he just, and I'm just a kid, and I'm looking at him. When I say a kid, about 12 years of age, he looks like to me he was just drying up.
right.
And I don't care what age you are. If you drink soda pop instead of water, you are slowly drying up. Even if you're 21 years of age, you are drying out your body. You are going to be hurting for certain
Right.
somewhere down the road. It's kind of like the old saying that when I was young and dumb, I did things and hurt my body or did something here I shouldn't have done. And then, like one guy told me, he says, "Now that I'm older, my body's saying, 'See, I told you. I'm now you're going to pay for this.'" You know?
I was just thinking that. My
Yeah.
body said that to me more times than I can count.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look at the football players, for example. Look at how many did not reach the age of senior citizen because not because they took their own life. I mean, sure, that's happened with the ones that suffer from chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which also brings to mind, folks. We had Joel Peterson on the show, and they cover very well how suicide is more physical than it is mental.
Mhm.
Has to do nutrition. I mean, you start talking to the experts out there, they can show you documented scientific proof how nutrition can raise you up from where you are
Yeah.
and give you the lifestyle that you so richly want and deserve. Notice I
Absolutely.
said deserve because you were not born on planet Earth to make doctors and everybody else rich in the
No.
medical industry. You really weren't.
And we weren't born to be unhappy.
Oh, isn't that the truth?
We weren't born to be unhappy.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's about that balance. It's about giving yourself grace. Obviously, neither Jim nor I are saying that you can't not have a brownie or an ice cream or
Oh,
something,
no. No.
but it is moderation. And
Right.
right, everything in life is about moderation, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and understanding that um, a little bit is okay, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but if you eat a gallon of ice cream a night, that might be a touch too much.
Yeah. I tell people after my many years of studying the world of herbs and natural cures, look at it like this. Everyone knows that if you just get up once a day and walk for 30 minutes, your overall health is going to increase.
Right.
When it comes to your nutrition and you want to treat yourself with a brownie or dessert or whatever, ice cream, whatever, you want to treat yourself with, do it in moderation, like what Donna is saying there. But there's going to come times, just like when you block out time to exercise, there's going to come times where you block out and say, I'm going to treat my body nutritiously. I'm going
Right.
to find out what harms my body. I'm going to do my own research.
Right.
And that is the best thing that you can do, because with the elderly folks, your parents, your grandparents that you love, you want to make sure they are getting good nutritional food.
Absolutely. I mean,
That
it's
starts at
critical.
birth and it goes on to the very day you die. I mean, there
Right.
is no fountain of youth. I mean, I've looked for it, went on an expedition and couldn't find it. But my point being, where is it written that when you reach 40 or 50 or 60 or 70, I can see 70 in my rear view mirror. In fact, it's starting to fade now, I think it's back there somewhere. But my point being, where is it written that we have to be on medication? And the reason I say that, back when I just turned 60, which was in 2008, the very next month I wound up in the hospital with a peptic ulcer. And the nurses, they asked everything, what you're on and all that. You take any medication? Nope. I still don't take medication. And because I enjoy good health. And this one nurse came in. She was kind of on a little bit on the burly side. You don't want to describe ladies as being burly, but she looked like she could have played linebacker for the Green Bay Packers. And she had that kind of an attitude. She had the clipboard in her hand. I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up. And she looked at me and she says, "What kind of medications are you taking?" Not good morning. Hello. How are you feeling? Here
Right.
I'm laying in a hospital bed. And I received 5 units of blood during my hospital stay. So it wasn't anything like that. It's just, what kind of medications are you on? I don't take medications. I'm not on any.
Right.
You are not on any medication? I thought, what is this? I mean, I ought to know whether or not I'm on medication or not. And I tell people the story how one time in my life, I was taking a lot of herbs and things of this nature, and I was eating in my 50s like I was in my 30s. Um, you can get by with things when you're young, but
Right.
after you pass that one hill, your body says, I'm not putting up with this anymore. You were not born that stupid. And my cholesterol kept climbing.
Right.
And I was taking an herb. I'm not going to mention the name, but I was taking an herb that was clinically proven to reduce cholesterol.
Hmm.
So I figured, I'll just take a little more, take a little more, take a little more. But my problem was the foundation of my health was wrong because I wasn't eating properly.
Right.
I was still eating like I did in my 30s. And so that being said, I just bragged about these new things and they keep popping out of my ears. Maybe that's my intelligence getting excited inside my brain. I don't know. But my cholesterol got up to 266.
Ooh.
And then I said, total count. I says, I got to do something.
Yeah.
So I started researching it. And for those of you that's tried diets and failed, okay, don't worry about that. Get either on a diet or, at least go to Dr. Grant's website here. And this is good for you to ask Dr. Grant for your parents and grandparents. Go to the academyofwellness.com. He's not there to nickel and dime you to death, but find a good diet for you, because everybody's going to recommend vegetables.
Right.
And I modeled my diet after the Atkins diet. Now, I've heard praises about it, and I've heard people, oh, the Atkins diet didn't work for me, you know. But don't give up, because your body does need good nutrition. And
Right.
I knew I needed to change my diet because that was not working. Long story short, I dropped my cholesterol from 266 down to 173 without medication.
Hmm. Hmm.
And see, that's all natural. No side effects, no expensive
Right.
medication.
Right.
That's what I highly recommend for you, because as your parents are aging, your grandparents are aging, uh, make sure that they're getting proper nutrition. If they're feeding them fried food and all that, that is not good. You know, it's not good for them at all. It's not good for the body.
No, but I would like to add one thing. When you said why parents and grandparents are aging, please
Hmm.
remember so are you.
Oh yeah.
And
Hmm.
I'm a firm believer in moderation, and I say
Hmm.
that because about 9 years ago I was over 100 pounds heavier than I am now,
Hmm.
and it took me 2 years, folks, 2 years to get the weight off
Hmm.
because I did it extremely natural. It was not
Hmm.
a diet. It was a lifestyle, and it still is.
Hmm.
It was a
Yeah.
lifestyle. I changed the way I ate. I
Hmm.
recognized, and everybody is different, but I recognized what was um, difficult for my body to
Hmm.
the food that was hanging on to
Yeah.
me, the food that was hanging on to me.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And so back then I ate boatload, a boatload of carbohydrates. What's carbohydrates do? It turns to sugar.
Hmm.
Sugar feeds cancer.
Mm.
So,
That's right.
I recognized that I was eating way too many carbohydrates. So,
Hmm.
I backed way off on the carbohydrates. I changed a lot of things that I ate, incorporated, and I've always eaten a lot of vegetables, but I changed the way
Mm.
I ate and ate even
Right.
more. And then I eat more often. That's the other thing. I eat more often. A lot of times we don't eat often enough, Jim.
Hmm. Yeah. Smaller meals are better for you than big meals. And one of the things that I learned during my diet, I cut out my noon meal and the normal meal that I ate, and I replaced it with a salad.
Hmm.
And I thought, this is not fun. It's not tasty. But then with my salad, I put in walnuts,
Hmm.
I put in pieces of apple. I made it tasty for me.
Or some chicken or whatever, some protein. Throw
Yeah,
protein in there. Throw
yeah,
some
yeah.
salmon in there, whatever you like.
Tuna, tuna, yeah.
There
And
you
I mixed it up. And what I realized is after I ate, I didn't have the need for all the blood to rush to my stomach.
go. Hmm.
And that's what makes people, drowsy after they eat or a little bit
Right,
sluggish.
right. I call it
But
a
after,
carb coma.
yeah, that's a good word for it. But most importantly, I had energy. I felt good because after you eat, you should feel good.
Right.
And a couple of things that Dr. Grant mentioned, I want to illustrate, I want to go over this some more, is that I always loved white bread. I just like the way it tastes. And I should. They put sugar in there,
Right.
and other things, but also like cereals. You think you're eating healthy if you're eating whole grain cereals. But ladies and gentlemen, there's other things in there, sugar and everything else that,
Sugar and salt and
yeah.
fats.
And so like the old balance system, the good and the bad, well, the bad outweighs the good. So, I'm not trying to knock cereal companies because there are some natural cereals out there that don't have all that, but
Right.
you got to be prudent. You got to do your homework. And
Hmm.
that's why I recommend you to go to visit Dr. Grant at the Academy of Wellness. Um, if you buy anything from him, a book or whatever, I don't get anything from it. I would not want it. And, that's not what we do here. We don't do things here for profit. We do things here to be able to help people.
We
And
want to bless them.
yes, yes, exactly. Share our knowledge with them because we've got some skin in the game. You've heard about Donna's story, my story. And when it comes to the elderly, your parents, your loved ones, your grandparents, and all, make sure they're getting enough, plenty of fresh water. Make sure they're getting enough of good food. And and if they're like me and didn't really care for salads to begin with, make the salad tasty.
Right.
Find out
Well,
what they like, and you can spice it up a little. I mean, not spice it up, but you can, raise the flavor of it to where it's good.
right. Well,
Mhm.
and here's one of the other things that is difficult for a lot of our elderly who are undergoing cancer. Sometimes there's, of course, there's differing there's factors that contribute to it, but sometimes they don't have family around anymore. All their family is moved.
Mm.
Okay, so they have trouble with daily activities, shopping,
Hmm.
getting dressed, doing chores around the house, cooking, you know,
Yeah.
all of these daily things that we often take for, for granted. And
Oh, yeah.
there are so many resources out there that can help with these daily things, these daily tasks that they need
Mhm.
help with, because they also feel alone and isolated and they feel
Mhm.
overwhelmed.
Yeah, especially if they're like in an elderly home or something like that. Because yeah, I've been in those places, not me personally as a resident, but I've been in there with family members, and what they do, a lot of the times they set them in wheelchairs and they just roll them out there in front of the TV
Yep.
like they're a potted plant.
Yep.
And I do know there's a time and place for those type of special facilities that can provide the love and care. Right now, my brother is in a special home that I think there's 4 or 5 people in there. And I like those special homes rather than a big, huge, it's got 100 or more, uh, residents in there. And because they lose the personal touch.
Hmm.
And I know some people that in the past that they would have a person like a dietitian go in
Right.
and prepare, food or deliver good, nourishing food and encourage them to drink water because if they're a stroke victim or something like that, that's very, very tough. It really is. But the idea of it is to keep them healthy enough where they don't start
Right.
fading, where they don't need these type of homes until much later in life, hopefully.
Right.
And with water and proper nutrition, oh my goodness gracious, that is the foundation of all health and living.
It
From the
is.
day you're born on up to the day that the good Lord calls you home.
Well, and that brings up another point, Jim, is that because unfortunately, so many of our elderly senior citizens are on an extreme fixed income. A lot of times they don't have the money
Hmm.
for good, proper food, and they
Yeah.
don't have the resource or the physical strength to even get out to, say, a food bank that will help
Hmm.
them
Yeah.
offset their monthly, costs for food. So
Yeah.
if you have family out there or neighbors who can help neighbors do this for them, that could be
Hmm.
a huge blessing in their
Oh,
life.
yeah. There are other groups that do volunteer work for that.
Right.
And, you just take, for example, if you just call up someone and just ask them, say, hey, could you do this for us or whatever? And many times, if they're retired or something like that, they would enjoy doing
Right.
that. And there's, like I say, just check around in each community. It's different, but also, make sure that, your focus is on them having good nutrition. And Dr. Grant can give you a lot of great information there and talk to them.
Yeah.
Ask them, hey, you know, what kind of foods they like. Of course, they're going to like all the foods that they don't probably need, but guide them into, you know, the reason why. And sometimes that may be a little difficult. Therefore, a third person who is an expert that has charm, that's a big thing with older folks. Because with my mother-in-law, I got to tell a story out of school. You send some lady in there to talk to her, and she just sits there and looks at her. But you send a guy in there to talk to her, she lit up like a Christmas tree. So keep that in mind because some ladies would prefer the attention of a man. I'm
Right.
not talking about anything below the belt, but I'm just talking about the appreciation of having
Right.
a man talk to an older lady. Same is true with us old boys. I mean, if some guy comes in and tells me I need to do this, that, and the other, I'm thinking, yeah, right. But you let some pretty girl come in and tell me, "Oh, you look great. Would you like to try this today?" Well, you better believe it. Sign me up.
Well,
I got my pride and my dysentery here. I'm all, or is it those are word dignity? It's one of them words, but whatever it is, I got it.
and there's lots of options out there that we can
Yeah.
trade, like, okay, if your folks like, if your elderly relatives like pizza, okay,
Mm.
I make an amazing cauliflower crust pizza,
Mm.
but you can buy them anywhere now.
Oh
But,
yeah.
you can do a cauliflower pizza that tastes so good that you don't even really realize it's cauliflower.
Mm. Yeah. And when you prepare something for them, just say, hey, like in Donna's case, hey, would you like me to bring over a pizza? Would you
Right.
like to sit down and have a pizza? You make it an event where, yes,
Yeah.
because everything for an older person, it's always got to have some meaning to them for them to do it.
Right.
And one of the things that when my mother-in-law was living with us, I used to ask her, hey, would you like to go with us over here? And she would say, no, I'm not really interested. I'd rather stay here because you have to appreciate that the effort that they have to put into something,
Right.
it just, they don't see the reward in it. There's no value there for them. And therefore, they just rather stay where they're at in their comfort zone.
Right.
And that's a good thing too. But also in their comfort zone, they may want to have sweets and treat themselves. So you want to find a way to help treat them nutritiously.
And balance it.
And yes, and make it a treat when they have it.
And
And
one of the other things, both my parents were in an assisted living home. They were, unfortunately quite ill.
mhm.
But one of the things that I can say personally, coming from my heart, is honor them,
Mm,
honor, respect, and love them. Because you know what?
mhm,
I look at it like this: they were there when I came into this world with my first breath,
mhm,
I was there with their last.
mhm. Yeah,
And what an honor.
yeah.
What a beautiful honor.
And also remember, they were there when you were going through your teenage years. Hello, they put up with you. If you're still living, that means they didn't kill you or strangle you, or if you hit you so hard you got give you so much thump therapy that you're punch drunk.
Right?
I mean, because let's face it, when we were teenagers, oh my goodness gracious, we thought we knew everything, and then we got about get up about 25 or so, then you realize, oh my gosh, I didn't know anything.
Right.
But
And
when
then
you're
you have your own kids, and you remember your mom and dad saying, if you don't stop that, I'm going to knock you into next week. Yeah. It
that's
made a
right.
lot of sense.
Oh yeah, it sure does. It really does. But remember, now is a time for you to show them love and patience. When they had to show love and patience to you during your teenage years, that's a good way of looking at it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for me, it was an honor. It was an honor for me to help my parents. It was an honor for me to come visit them every day. It was an honor for
Hmm.
me to take them to doctor appointments. I remember after my dad died, I had to take my mom. I took her to get her hair done, and I said, "Hey, mom, I'm going to take you out to dinner." And of course, mom had dementia, so she wasn't quite all there, But
Hmm.
it was sweet, and I have pictures of us eating at a Mexican restaurant, and we were sharing a meal, and she was so enjoying it, and that memory will be with me for the rest of my life.
Hmm. Oh yeah, the little things like that, sharing information with them, and spending time with them and treating them.
Hmm.
That is the one key thing that you can do, no matter what you want to do, whether you get them to drink more water or eat healthy, that's good for them, but make it a treat.
Right. And all of these things, Jim, helps them in their treatment of cancer,
Oh, yeah, it sure does. It
right?
sure does. It sure does because you're changing the body internally from an acidy environment
And
to
minerals.
a alkaline environment. And that is just like taking a swamp plant out of Louisiana and send it over and have them plant it in the middle of the Sahara Desert.
Right.
How do you think that's going to work? Because every living thing on planet Earth, from the molecular level all the way up, it must have nutrition to even survive.
Correct.
And that includes cancer.
And nutrition is not only food and water and proper medicine and supplements and that kind of thing for dietary, but nutrition is also in a good energy space, Jim.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
it has to be in a good energy space. And the thing
Mm,
is, when our elderly are undergoing cancer or have it, or for that matter, anything else,
hmm
it affects us all, right? And
hmm
they can get grumpy. They
hmm
can get really grumpy because they
Oh,
don't
yeah,
feel good. And
right.
so, sometimes, like I remember with my father, he got a little grumpy a few times, and I had to sit him down and say, "Dad, you're being a grump. You're being a dadgum old grump." And I said, "I know you don't feel good, but Dad, that's not fair to everybody else."
hmm
And he's like, "You're right. I'm sorry. I'm going to try
hmm
harder." I'm like, "Okay. Now let's go do something fun,
hmm
whatever it
Yeah.
was." And so, when I'd take him to his doctor's appointment, I'd say, this was a fun one for us. I say, "Dad, tell me a story. Tell me a
hmm
story, one of your favorite stories about
hmm
you and mom or about you and me. What's one of your favorite stories?" And oh my gosh, you talk about going from kind of, I don't want to go, I don't feel good, and I'm grumpy too. Wow, this is awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
is a dynamic way to change the energy space
hmm
within them.
Oh, yeah. I remember one time for my went back, and this was about 6 months before my dad passed away. At that time, he had suffered several strokes and a couple of heart attacks. And I got him out in a paddle boat on a lake. And I told him, I just sit there and keep your legs out of the way of the paddle. I said, I'm your chauffeur today. And we're riding around on that lake, and I had to crack up at him. And, and, anyway, I'm glad my mom's not here because I wouldn't be able to say this if mother was here. But anyway, I noticed Dad kept looking in one direction. He kept looking in one direction. And I wasn't at first paying any attention. I'm just, paddling along, and trying to steer this thing, with the rudder in the back. And Dad says, "You want to go over there?" We've been looking. And that was quite a ways over there. I said, "Okay." So I'm paddling over there. Then I realized he was looking, looking, looking. I thought, what's he looking at? Then I saw the girls over there. And I said, "You looking for a woman, Dad?" "What? No. Huh? What's wrong with you?" I started cracking up laughing. Oh my goodness. But the thing of it was, he really enjoyed it because at first he didn't know if he wanted to get out there on a paddleboat. I said, "Oh, come on. We'll just take a little ride around. We'll come back in. Come with me,
Right.
please." I said, "I ain't got nobody to ride with, And I will always treasure that. And, but teasing him, I remember that so much deep down inside. But most importantly, do little things with them. What about a little simple card game or a little board game that's real simple? I mean, checkers we consider that either old person's game or kids game. You say,
Right.
"Hey, Dad, you like to play some checkers?" Or Mom, whatever. Anything to spend some quality time with them. That is your goal because that will make anything that you want to provide for them or any new ideas you want to get them to thinking on, like eating
Right.
more healthy, that will also open that door for you. Because remember, in life, little hinges always open big doors, and we're just about out of time. And we didn't
Hard.
take any, yeah, and we didn't take any commercial breaks because we just wanted to roll on today and talk about what we wanted to share. We'll be back tomorrow, close up this week. We'll do a little recap on everything we've covered. And most importantly, remember this: if you love yourself first, that is a prerequisite
It
to
is.
be able to love others and share your love with especially the ones that you love in your family, your parents, your siblings, family and friends, because love covers a multitude of sins. Number one, the Bible teaches that. But number two, love overlooks a lot of stupidity. And remember, when you were a teenager, your parents loved you so much, they overlooked the stupid things that you did.
Right?
And I'm a living testament of that. I tell people I was a kid in the 50s and an overly intelligent teenager in the 60s.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it.
Well, Donna, we'll be back tomorrow, won't we?
You will be, Jim. So,
Yeah.
folks, please have an incredible day out there and join us
Mhm.
again tomorrow.
You bet. Thank you so much. Be sure and go to Messages of Inspirational Stories TV show on YouTube. We have all of our other previous shows recorded there. You can see Dr. Grant, and be sure and check it out. And his website, Academy of Wellness. And if I don't cut us off, they're going to cut me off. So we'll see you
Right?
tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for tuning in. Bye bye.
Bye, folks.